Hey, ladies and gentlemen, seniors, this message is specifically for you. You have been assigned to write a thesis statement with a given prompt. And your prompt here is: in many other countries, students are required to clean their schools at the end of the day. Should youth in the United States also be responsible for keeping their schools clean? This is your opportunity to actually write a thesis statement with that given prompt. And for those of you who have completed all of your preliminary work, you know that you have to have several components inside your thesis statement. And I'm scrolling down and talking about the bottom of the page for just a second. Um, First of all, you know that it needs to be concise. So you don't need to write a whole bunch of words to have some fancy thesis statement. Thesis statements do not have to be long. They can be one sentence. At the most, they can be two, but we're going to practice the one sentence. They do need to be specific. So you you know exactly what you're talking about, exactly what message you're trying to get across. It does need to be controversial. That simply means that it needs to have an argument. You need to be able to argue both sides. Of course, if you were to take your thesis statement and write a complete paper, you would again support your thesis statement with all kinds of evidence, with all kinds of support, examples, facts, whatever. But someone else could take your thesis statement and argue almost every point. The whole purpose of a good thesis statement is the fact that it needs to be controversial. And it does need to include an opinion, which is the reason why it's controversial, because not everybody has the exact same opinion about the given topic. For this particular class, and I'm not identifying this class because multiple classes are in the exact same boat, there are some of you who cannot complete this writing assignment because you haven't mastered all of the preliminary topics. Now, this has been open for over a week, and the preliminary topics, identifying opinion, whether it's controversial or not, specific language, and concise language, that's been the practice for 2 prior weeks to this assignment being assigned to you. So we've had plenty of time. I know we haven't devoted a lot of time in class to that, which is something we're going to be doing a little bit more this week. Since you know what your workload is for all the other assignments, you're going to have a little more time in class to ask specific questions of these skills. Master those skills so you can move on to the writing. The writing is what you need to work on. So a prompt, again, is: in many other countries, students are required to clean their schools at the end of the day. Should youth in the United States also be responsible for keeping their schools clean? Once you read that, you probably have your own opinion and you're going to say yes or no, but that's not good enough. You need to have why. Why do you think the way that you do? Take a little bit of time, take this prompt, write it out, and when you are ready to turn it into a thesis statement, then you're going to go through this NoRedInk process. It's a 3-step process. Step 2 and step 3, we can go back and forth with quite a bit. The very first step after you've written it is to submit it. Submit your writing into this format. You will submit your writing, and then you will automatically be moved to a rating system. That means it's going into the bank, and then your peers are going to move into the opportunity to rate your work. You need to peer review at least 5 other people. I think it's locked at 5 right now. Some of you may have a couple more, depending on how many are available from the very beginning. This is one of those assignments that is absolutely dependent on everyone getting their work done. So if you are one of those who has not mastered your material, then you have a little extra pressure on you because people are waiting for you to get done so that they can review your work and they can move on into the revision process. So number 1, submit your writing. Number 2, you'll peer review at least 5 of your peers in your classroom. Once you have reviewed and have received reviews, then you move on to the revising step, which means you will get a chance to see what everybody else commented. You'll be able to see how your students rate. If it's interesting, they'll be able to identify what they think is controversial or not. If there's an opinion that's in there, your student peers have an opportunity to give you some feedback. You will be able to take that feedback and revise your thesis statement. Once you revise your thesis statement, then it comes to me. And then I can see your revision, I can see your original, and I can see every peer review that you've received and every peer review that you have given. So be very careful in this whole process. This needs to be a productive and constructively criticized process. So it needs to be a positive process all the way from start to finish. Make sure you are actually giving good student feedback whenever you need to give good student feedback. The point of all of this is for you to be able to write a very good thesis statement. And again, those skills that are included inside of your thesis statement, you need to have an opinion based on the topic. You need to write a thesis statement that is controversial. So someone is going to be able to argue with you, but you, if you were to write this full paper, would be able to support and provide evidence. You need to make sure your language is specific, so know exactly what you're talking about, and make sure it is very concise. You don't need to have a long, drawn out thesis statement to be a good thesis statement. This is due on the 24th. I don't know why it says 5:27 p.m. I'm going to go in and change that. Honestly, it's going to be at 3 p.m. on the 24th. So you need to have this thesis statement completely done, this whole process. That means your writing is done, rating your peers, revision, and submitted to me before the 24th at 3 p.m. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to it. I'll talk to you later.